Tonight on CTV News, new research on the Alpine Fault will tell you what you need to know. The fight to get rid of the coastal hazard rezoning of houses intensifies, and a new bill to get us more excited about solar energy.
Broadcasting across Canterbury, from the CTV studio, this is First at 5.
Good evening, welcome to CTV News, now streaming live every night at ctv.co.nz. New research has found the Alpine Fault could be closer than we think to South Island towns. The fault, which runs 600 kilometres along the South Island, is considered to be at high risk of producing a major earthquake in the next 50 years. A Victoria University geologist, Dr. Simon Lamb, says what was once thought to be a vertical crack in the earth spreads about 100 kilometres sideways along more than half of the fault. He says his team is now researching how the shape of the fault affects an earthquake rupture. The last earthquake associated with the fault was nearly 300 years ago, and scientists say about 1770, and caused a dramatic change in the way we see the Southern Alps today. Well, a well-known resident affected by the controversial coastal hazards report is vowing to keep the pressure on the government to get it scrapped completely. Sir Tiffany O'Regan says the whole process needs to be in central government's hands rather than relying on individual councils. Here's McCulloch.
The controversial coastal hazards report is in its third stage through the Christchurch City Council, but one resident is saying stop.
They should move it to central government. They should get a national plan worked out, or strategy worked out, which is rational.
Sir Tiffany lives in eastern Christchurch. His home was in South Shore, red zoned. Now he lives in New Brighton, affected by the prediction around sea level rises due to climate change.
If they actually believe what they're predicting as hazards for the so-called coastal hazard, which I might add runs right in as far as Lancaster Park and goes a long way inland, then if it's as they say, why aren't they taking it further?
A report has been issued by the City Council, highlighting the areas at risk, a process all councils will need to do as part of a government requirement. But he says the whole issue should be taken from local council hands and given to central government to deal with.
There needs to be a lot more intellectual firepower applied to these questions than is currently being applied to them, rather than fobbing them off on local government representatives who, and a somewhat inadequate consultative and bureaucratic basis underpinning them.
He went along to the meetings held by the Christchurch Coastal Residents United Group and says more needs to be done to get the future-proofing of the city right.
And I've heard one round of debate which said the South Shore area, it's no good trying to mitigate the sea level rise because mitigation doesn't work, and then they'll tell you that Sumner's okay because it's got a seawall and it's already been mitigated. So what they're really saying is we can mitigate at Sumner, it's logical, but across the water we can't mitigate at South Shore.
18,000 homes are expected to be affected by the coastal erosion and inundation in the next 50 to 100 years. Now residents are being asked to make submissions, but Sir Tiffany says it's a waste of time.
It is improper to be using emergency legislation for long-term policy planning.
But for now, concerned home and business property owners only have 2 days left to get their submissions to council. McCulloch, CTV News.
Solar power. It's fair to say it's never really taken off in this country, but the Greens are hoping to change all that and trying their very best to get residents more excited about the benefits of using the sun's power. Here's Chelsea Daniels.
An amendment to the Electricity Industry Act has been proposed by the Green Party to ensure households are selling back excess solar energy to electricity companies at a fair price.
It's simply a fair go for solar customers. You know, the numbers of Kiwis going solar has doubled in the last year. They want a greater sense of energy independence and freedom. But at the moment, the power companies have all the power. That's why I've put in this common sense practical bill to try and fix it and give them a fair go.
The bill looks to guarantee households fair and reasonable medium-term buyback rates in order to give people more certainty.
It establishes a standardised connection framework. There are 27 different lines companies across the country. They've all got different rules, all got different forms, all got different fees. Surely we can standardise that. Secondly, a standardised contract, because at the moment, if you're feeding your surplus solar electricity back into the grid, the power company can and do change the terms with only 30 days notice. So I think we should standardise that. And thirdly, the buyback rate, or the tariff which is paid to small-scale generators, someone with a solar panel on their roof.
At present, the power companies can change the terms, conditions and buyback rates for surplus power with only 30 days notice.
For example, Meridian dropped theirs by 72% from 26 cents to 8 to 10 cents last year. I'd like to see an independent umpire set a fair, reasonable, non-subsidised tariff so there's certainty for everyone.
Families are investing big bucks on solar panels, but Hughes says the power companies are constantly changing the buyback price.
I'm meeting an elderly couple in Canterbury today who invested some of their savings to go solar to try and fix their electricity costs on a fixed income. However, it's hard to do the financial planning, especially when you're maybe spending $15,000 on solar panels, knowing that the power companies can and have rapidly slashed the buyback rate.
And more Cantabrians are turning to solar power. Managing Director of Solar Living New Zealand, Jason Tobin, has previously said that electricity prices have risen over 80% over the past decade and are likely to keep rising. He says the South Island has the highest uptake of solar systems being installed. Studies show Canterbury has 16 solar connections per 100,000 people, well above Auckland's 10 and the national average of 12.
Canterbury's got high sunshine hours, in fact higher than, say, Germany, which has the highest solar penetration at the moment. You're seeing the rebuilds going along, so people are putting on, maybe 1 or 2% of the capital value of their home to produce their own power on the roof.
The bill is likely to be decided on by the end of the year.
Well, the next step is it'll be up for a vote in Parliament, maybe September, October or November. I'll be hoping it will pass its first reading so it can go to a select committee. In select committee we can hear from the power companies, from the solar companies, from the solar customers, and if amendments need to be made, that's where we can make those amendments to improve the legislation. But ultimately only asking for a standardised contract, standardised connection framework and a fair and reasonable tariff. This isn't asking for the moon, it's not asking for much, it's just simply a common sense practical step.
Hughes says there's around 6,500 households in New Zealand using solar energy at the moment, with the trend likely to resonate with the growing number of eco-friendly minded new homeowners.
We're starting from a small base, but as the price have dropped to around a third just in the last 2 years, the price have in fact dropped 99% in the last 4 decades. People are looking at that, they're opening up their power bills and seeing how high they are, and they're really looking at their roof to wonder if they could be producing their own free electricity from the sun.
Chelsea Daniels, CTV News.
Well, still to come here on CTV News, spring is here. You wouldn't think so. We'll look at the outlook for this season. Welcome back to CTV News. Well, spring has arrived in New Zealand, and while many didn't think so yesterday, with the weather being quite horrible, wasn't it? We can expect warmer weather to arrive soon, but it could be bad news for farmers though, especially those in North Canterbury who could experience the worst drought in decades. Weather expert Richard Green has those details.
Spring's going to be fairly slow in starting, it looks like, and yesterday wasn't flash, it wasn't pretty, although a bit of moisture is certainly needed for parts of North Canterbury. Farmers there need as much as they can because we're in the middle of this El Nino, and figures just coming out today suggesting that this El Nino phase for Canterbury is going to be strong during the months of spring, September, October, November, hang around during summer and then last through autumn as well. Now, for those farmers who can recall the 72, 73 years, and also we've got 82, 83, also 1997, 1998, they won't remember those fondly. Not that El Nino is a blueprint, but it's not ideal at this stage looking in rural areas. For Christchurch folk, though, for those who enjoy the sunshine, spring will certainly deliver some warmer days. We're also going to have these cool southerlies pop up from time to time, which is what we have seen. But as summer draws near and through summer, especially the latter part of summer and into autumn, I think we're looking at warmer, in fact hotter temperatures than usual overall, drier conditions as well. And we only have to go back to, well, when I say only, we go back to 1972-73. Christchurch hit 41.6 degrees that year during a strong El Nino phase, and the likes of Rangiora had the national high of all time at 42.4 degrees. There is a chance late in summer we could get close to that, if not equal it, if not exceed it. I know it seems a long stretch from this point in time, but that's a possibility as well. Let's hope we buck the trend when a strong El Nino hits, but at the moment it's not looking pretty at this stage.
Well, everyone wants it, everyone loves it, but is everyone making the right choices to get more of it? It's Money Week this week, and just the right time to make sure you're utilising your KiwiSaver properly. Awareness campaigner reporter Chelsea Daniels with this.
The Financial Markets Authority has come to Christchurch with an important message for people to utilise their KiwiSaver more efficiently to make more money.
So this initiative is run by the Financial Markets Authority. It's part of Money Week. Money Week is a nationwide initiative to help New Zealanders think about their finances and just get things in shape and start to ask questions around what they've got in place.
This year, the FMA are urging people to check up on their KiwiSaver using an online survey and answering 5 simple questions. Do you know who your KiwiSaver provider is? Do you know what type of fund you're in? Is your KiwiSaver on the right tax rate? Do you know how much money you have in your KiwiSaver? And do you think KiwiSaver is government guaranteed?
All of this takes about 6 minutes. I know I did it myself. And those sorts of things can make a huge difference to how comfortable you are in retirement in a few years down the track.
Robbers says that many Kiwis don't realise that the scheme is a form of investment.
We've done some research. We found a lot of people did know they were in a KiwiSaver and knew who their provider was, but they're not really thinking of their KiwiSaver as an investment. So I think around half of the people that we surveyed said they didn't have any investments, whereas 2/3 actually were in KiwiSaver.
And she says you have the ability to make choices on this investment to maximise how much money you can retire with.
In terms of your balance and how comfortable you might be in retirement, yes, if you are in the wrong fund and you've got a really long time horizon to go before you retire, then yes, the potential for you, perhaps not to make the gains in your investment that you could. So these are really important little things that people can do now, and to obviously ask their providers about now can make a difference in the long term.
Chelsea Daniels, CTV News.
It's nearly a decade old, and with age comes the time to grow. A local Canterbury is looking to raise more than $500,000 to boost her online crafts site, and she's asking the public to help get her business across the line. But why? Jared McCulloch explains.
Take it to the next level.
It's a startup business, and it's taking a giant leap.
We have reached a point where we want to take it to the next level, grow the business, and so I'm selling shares in Felt.
The website Felt has been running for 8 years, based right here in Christchurch. Arnold started the online company as part of a side project to her graphic design business.
I was selling merino arm warmers that I'd made myself on an American site, Etsy, and doing pretty well, but when I wanted to sell them locally in New Zealand, there just wasn't an outlet for that.
It's all about focusing on the handcrafted goods made here in New Zealand when she found a gap in the market.
We've got Trade Me, which is awesome, but it's not really quite the right forum for beautiful handmade products. It's more about bargains and second-hand and imported stuff.
Her website has gained traction over the years, with 1,500 makers signed up and around 1 million hits to her page every month.
The criteria is that it has to be something that you've made or designed yourself.
Now she's asking for help online as well, getting generous Kiwis to back her business with the hope of thriving into the future.
We've got a third of the way there so far, so we're roughly on a third now. So we're hoping that this final week is going to be the big push and get it across the line.
She started a Pledge Me account, hoping to get a minimum of $250,000 to help increase her business and double her staff from 3 to 6. It's one of the first sites of its kind in New Zealand and allows Kiwi craftspeople to sell their masterpieces online to the rest of the country and the world. They've even sold products to Antarctica.
Everyone knows felt as a fabric that's sort of fairly central to craft, but also it's the past tense of feeling, and feeling can be an emotional connection. It can be like a physical, tactile things.
But if they can't get to their goal,
that could go on indefinitely, but I see felt as having a huge amount of potential, and I know a lot of other people do as well. So it just seems like it would be silly not to try to reach that potential.
So far, nearly $70,000 has been raised, a step forward to the possibility of the next biggest site in New Zealand. Jared McCulloch, CTV News.
Still to come here on CTV News, Mercy returns with your local weather update. Welcome back to CTV News. So how do you feel about seeing middle-aged people sporting lycra, on their bikes around Christchurch? Well, he's one of New Zealand's most well-known actors, and he's back in the Garden City doing just that, singing and performing. His latest show, very interesting indeed, but he's got a message to send to middle-aged men who like lycra and prostate checks. Here's Jared McCulloch.
He's a man known by many in Kiwi households, appearing in Peter Jackson's Hobbit and the King Kong remake. And now he's back in Christchurch, taking his and playwright Greg Cooper's extraordinary new performance to the stage. He is the middle-aged man in lycra.
It's a bit of an effort every night, obviously, hour and a half on your own and 10 characters and making sure you get it right.
The show opened on Sunday night as part of the Christchurch Arts Festival.
I'm doing 3 weeks at the Court straight after we're doing the 2-week season at CAF too, which is very exciting. So it's going to be 5 weeks of one-man show, which is like unbelievable, but it's so exciting. I'm actually really enjoying it.
Hedlow says the art scene in the region is flourishing, but time is what's needed.
I think it's got a decade to go yet before it's really back on its feet. Not that I'm any foreseeable soothsayer, but I think the energy of Christchurch people is extraordinary. What I am liking is seeing people actually coming back to live entertainment. You can't beat it. Book for something at the CAF, anything. We saw a new production, Greg Cooper's new production of That Bloody Woman in the weekend, a rock opera. Un-bloody believable. And Greg's written my play, so it's fantastic.
So now he's taking on a one-man show, a new challenge.
I have to, because otherwise you become complacent and you flatline, and we're very good at flatlining. Oh, let's just leave it the way it is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Yeah, but trouble is, if it's not broke, it stays the same and you flatline. And so I think we need to challenge ourselves all the time.
In the show, it features an important scene, taking a look at prostate cancer. Hedlow is the face of this month's Blue September awareness, getting those over 40 to get a checkup.
In my generation, don't go to the doctor. They're really staunch. Geez, I don't want to be sticking anything up my bum, Oh, no, I'm a man, I don't need that. Well, actually, it's changing. You need to. Anyone post-40, even before, you need to get the PSA and you need to get an examination.
Prostate cancer is the #1 cancer in New Zealand men. It kills about 600 of us every year. That's about the same number of women who die from breast cancer.
I know a lot of friends who have lost their fathers and brothers and who have been affected by prostate cancer, and so it's not if you can get onto it earlier, there's a possibility of saving your life. Well, there isn't a possibility. You will save your life.
Hedlow says the next step is to get the checkups made free, but getting along to the GP is the immediate step.
I go and visit Phil Wong every year, and I say, "Hi Phil, I'm here, I'm ready, let's do it." And whether I bend, squat, use the supine option, or I lie on my side, I don't care, as long as I get an examination, and I think it's that easy.
Getting comfortable at the doctor's is one thing, and for the show it's another. The performance will be hitting Christchurch for 5 weeks.
Encourage your mates. Any colleagues I come across who I'm working with who are post-40, and I say, "Have you had the finger?" Awkward.
Jared McCulloch, CTV News.
Well, delivery delayed. That was the unfortunate news for one Christchurch supermarket this morning as the Lewis Road flavoured milk craze hit the South Island. Gordon Finlater tried to get his hands on the so-called milk gold, but like many, he was out of luck.
I spent my lunch break on the phone.
Nothing. You guys got any of the Lewis Road milk on your shelves? Sold out in an hour. Bugger. Yeah, no, I thought that might be the case. I spend the same everywhere. Cheers for that anyway.
Unfortunately, those that had it this morning had since sold out, while others weren't expecting deliveries until this afternoon. One store even missed out completely, with Pack and Save Riccarton having to wait until tomorrow to get the milk on their shelves.
Working with the supplier, firstly, Lewis Road, and the distributor, just to try and figure out why we hadn't received our stock. Lewis Road have told us we should be getting stock, yet the supplier has said that we can't get it. So we have been told that we will be receiving stock tomorrow.
We did manage to find some Lewis Road milk. St Martin's New World still had 2 of the 3 flavours on shelves earlier this afternoon. However, the crowd favourite creamy fresh chocolate milk had since sold out in record time. After the success of the product in the North Island, South Island stores had been preparing for the demand there would be today.
We were well aware of the success of the product in the North Island, and we've actually been trying to source the product down here now for close to 12 months. So it's great that it's going to be available down here. It's just a shame that it hasn't. We haven't received the product today to be able to sell to the customer.
For those of you like me that missed out today, we'll have to wait until tomorrow. Don't expect to stock up though, with purchase limits expected.
We're not going to get what we'd like to get, so we're going to put a limit of 1 per customer on it, just so that we can have it there for as many people as possible.
Gordon Finlater, CTV News.
All right, so spring is here, but what's the weather like? Mercy is standing by with a wrap of the region's weather forecast.
Kia ora Canterbury. Today we saw cloudy skies and northerly winds in the morning, a few fine breaks in the afternoon, and we are expecting a few chance showers this evening. 14 degrees for everyone here, apart from you Twizel, you were on 9 today. Central Canterbury, Christchurch, you actually had a high of 17 today, maybe that warm spring weather showing its face. 15 degrees though for Akaroa, Leeston, Ashburton and New Darfield, and 11 for Methven. Heading further north, 15 degrees was also shared by Kaikoura, Cheviot, Amberley and Oxford, 14 for Rangiora and Ham Springs and 16 for Culverden. And over to the Alpine region, 6 degrees for Arthur's Pass, 7 for Lake Tekapo and 8 for Mount Cook. Tomorrow for Timaru, we're seeing fine spells after that rain clears in the morning, southerly winds easing for you and 10 degrees for your high. Ashburton could be a soggy start as well, but a fine afternoon in store, southerly winds for you and 10 degrees also. Christchurch, you can expect a start of 3 degrees for your morning, 10 degrees during the day though, and southerly winds there easing off along with that rain easing too. And Kaikoura, a mostly fine day apart from a little bit of a wet start, 10 degrees for your high there. Could be a little bit of rain for the rest of the Canterbury region. South Canterbury, we're seeing southerly winds here for everyone and 10 degrees is the high for Waimate. Central Canterbury, we're also seeing the southerly winds coming through, but they should be dying off later on. Flip those 2 around there for Methven. 8 degrees is actually your high and 1 for your low. Heading further north now, we're also seeing a little bit of rain in the morning here. Southeasterly winds for everyone, and apart from Amberley, those southerlies for you. And over to the Alpine region, a little bit of rain there for Lake Tekapo and Arthur's Pass there, and we're also seeing Mount Cook, you're on 7 degrees. The upcoming days, Friday, a mostly fine day in store. However, we are seeing a southwesterly change around the midday afternoon mark, and that could be bringing a few showers with it, those clearing up later on in the evening. Saturday again, a mostly fine day apart from a southwesterly change later on the evening. That could also be bringing a few blustery hailstorms and a little little bit of snow with it as well, to the 300 to 400 metre mark. The rest of the Canterbury region on Friday can expect that rain coming through probably around the midday and afternoon mark, and they can also see those southwesterly winds coming with it. And on Saturday, again, a big warning that Saturday evening could be a little bit blustery with a little bit of hail there and a bit of snow as well. So the next coming days, we are expecting rain tomorrow morning, so make sure you've got your rain jackets and your brollies handy. And if you're planning your weekend, Saturday evening is looking a little bit cold and wintry. And that's your weather for Wednesday.
Thanks, Mercy, and that is your local news update. Have a great evening.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.